Hello and happy new year. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronia and in today's video we are starting off the year by talking through my 2022 financial goals. The reason why I wanted to do this video is because I know a few of you guys have been really invested in my financial journey, so I thought, of course, let's start off the year with a bang and talk about my own financial goals, so hopefully you can also get inspired by them. Now, if you're yet to set your own financial goals, don't worry, Auntie V is always here for you. So I do already have a video where I talk about how you can actually start to set your own financial goals, so definitely check that video out if you haven't already. I will of course link that up here for you and in the description below. Plus, whilst it is January, I have decided that I'm going to be doing some weekly lives to really help you get in check with your finances. So make sure you are subscribed to my channel, because on Sundays at 7:30 p.m. GMT, I'm going to be doing some YouTube lives that really focus on budgeting your money, saving your money, paying off debt, investing and spending as well. So make sure you are subscribed to my channel so you don't miss out, and make sure you do follow me on Instagram as well, because I will also be holding a couple of separate lives on there too. So I'm very excited for that and look forward to seeing you on Sundays. But in this video we're obviously going to be focusing on my financial goals, so I want to talk about what I'm mainly going to be focusing on this year, so I'm very excited. So in my previous video I was actually reviewing my 2021 goals, and I actually mentioned that the goals that I have set this year are going to be slightly different. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, or you want to see how I actually did in 2021, then definitely check out that video. I will link it in the description below for you. But in terms of this year, the reason why I've set slightly different goals is because I actually have a bit of a change in mindset, and I really want to focus on myself this year. So I do still have like personal finance goals, business goals and things like that, which I'm going to talk about in this video, but I really want to talk about the main theme of this year, which for me it's actually really being present and building a solid foundation. So I'm going to talk about, why I've actually decided to have that theme for this year and why it's slightly different. But I thought it'd be good to actually talk about my personal finance goals and then my business goals, and then after that we can just have a chat. So I'm very excited, and of course I do have my new notepad for 2022. So what I'm going to be doing is actually listing my goals in my new notepad as well, but then also I'm going to be writing down my starting point for the year as well, just for me to look back on, especially when it comes to the end of the year. So when it comes to personal finance goals, it is now no longer my personal finance goals because I'm married now, and so we actually have now personal finance goals together. And in that department, I will say there are really just two main things that we're probably going to be focusing on, and it's pretty much what we've been focusing on last year anyway, so this hasn't really changed. So the first one is that we are still going to be working towards having enough money to actually buy a property to rent out, and so we still have a goal of saving about £33,000, which is around $44,000. So this is something that we'd actually set last year, but obviously last year there were huge changes, like quitting my job for example, and so what that means is that we have just carried on the same goal for this year. So it's something that we still want to be working towards, and we're about 2/3 of the way through. So I'm hoping that by the end of this year we will be slightly close to it. Obviously it's going to depend on levels of income and changes and things like that, but I think it's still good to have that goal. And then the other goal we have is to have a joint stock portfolio of about £10,000, which is around $13,000. Now this is also something that I'd pretty much set last year, but when I did set it last year I'd really based it more on my portfolio, and I hadn't actually considered that obviously because we brought our incomes together we will be investing in not only my portfolio but my husband's portfolio as well. So I think 10,000 is still quite a good goal for us to get to. I would say we're just under halfway through that, so there's still a little bit to do, but I'm hoping that we will be able to reach that this year. And also a big reason why we've decided not to have like 10,000 each is because this year I don't really have a big focus on making a lot of money. I really again want to focus on myself, and so I think just kind of having those two personal finance goals means that I don't have to be pressured to make a lot of money in things like my business, because again I really just want to focus on myself this year. So that's essentially our personal finance goals, and so I'm excited to see how we do at the end of this year. And so the next thing I want to talk about are my business goals. So this is where it's slightly different to my goals from last year, because last year I did have some business goals, but I also had things like vanity metrics, and I also had passive income goals as well. So I've kind of consolidated some of them into one, which is under my business, and some of the goals I've actually taken out from last year that I set for myself, and some of them I have kept in. So I really want to keep some of these goals quite simple. Again, because of my main theme, I'm going to be focusing on myself this year. But in terms of my business goals, one of my goals is to actually launch my website. This is something that I wanted to do last year, but I didn't end up doing it, so I do actually want to launch my website. I have another goal of YouTube ad revenue, and my YouTube ad revenue goal is very different to the one I set last year, because now I actually have a baseline. So last year, because I made just over 1,700 on that, I've now been able to use that as a baseline in terms of next year's goal. And so with next year, I have a goal of £3,000 on my YouTube ad revenue, which is around $4,000. And so obviously that's a bit more than what I originally made in 2021, but I think it's kind of a good stretch, but it's also, you know, slightly realistic as well. With YouTube ad revenue, I've realized there's only so much I can control. Like, I don't really know how the algorithm is going to deal with me during this year. So I mean, I've set 3,000. We'll see if I end up hitting it, or if I end up going under or over, or maybe I even end up making less than last year. Who knows? But I've just put a goal of 3,000 just to see how that goes. And then next up, I've got a goal for my paid products. So this is really just my budget template that I sell. And I remember last year I was thinking that I was going to be making like quite a few templates, but honestly this year, again, I'm keeping it simple. I have the same template, so that includes a net worth statement, sinking funds calculator, and then you obviously have the choice between a monthly budget template or a weekly budget template. So I don't envision I'm going to be changing very much this year. So for me, I've pretty much kept the same goal, and so I've actually kept the goal of making £1,000 in revenue, which is around $1,300. But I think after fees, because obviously Etsy does tend to take a lot of fees, and whether I'll be putting my templates on my websites, I'm hoping to do that, but I'm not too sure yet. But after all of that, I reckon maybe I'll make around 800. So that's kind of my goal, is to make 1,000 in revenue and hopefully profit around 800. So we will see how that goes. But obviously with last year, I made over 770 in revenue, so I profited around 600. So I think that it's still quite a good goal to work towards, and it's something that I think will still stretch me. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes as well. And then the other goal I have is around affiliate marketing. So last year I made around £45, which is like $60, and I had a goal of 100. So I've decided to keep the same goal of 100 until I actually obviously reach the 100. So my goal for affiliate marketing is 100. And with affiliate marketing, I'm not sure it's something that I want to focus on again this year, just because I kind of want to focus on other things. But I think having a goal of 100 is quite good. And so we'll see how that progresses over time. And then the other thing around my business goals is to do with free shares. So I wasn't sure whether I actually wanted to set a goal for free shares, because again, it's quite difficult to predict how much you're going to end up making, particularly if you have some platforms where they actually stop people from signing onto the platforms, or maybe some platforms will stop free shares altogether. Who knows? So I'm not really going to be dwelling on free shares like I did last year. So I have set a goal of around £300, which is like $400 for free shares, and that is actually less than I made last year. But the reason why I decided to make it quite low is because, number one, the main investment platform that I use is Trading 212, and I'm not sure if they're going to be welcoming new customers onto the platform, yet alone if they're actually going to be doing free shares. And the second reason is because when it comes to FREETRADE, I'm pretty sure they now have a cap on the amount of free shares that you can get. And when it comes to their free shares, I mean, the share price is usually very, very low. Like sometimes it's even a couple of pounds. So that's why I've decided to just set it at 300, because I have no idea what will happen with any of these investment platforms. Obviously, if you are interested, you can check out my links in the description below. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Just make sure you are doing your research as always. And then the only other thing when it comes to my business goal, it's not too specific, but it's really to just continue working with women in my one-to-one coaching program. So this is something that I'm going to really double down on and focus on in the year of 2022. So it's going to be the only way that people can really work with me, but it's to really make sure that I'm actually helping them really get clear results when it comes to their personal finances, so that they can basically set a financial foundation that's going to help them for years to come. So essentially that's kind of what I want to focus on in 2022. So everything else is kind of like a bonus, but my main goal this year will be really focusing on the women that I'm working with, making sure that they can actually create a budgeting system that really works well for them, you know, helping them to be able to save as much money as possible, reach their financial goals, and also start investing as well. So if you do know that you really want to make a change with your finances, then definitely check out my one-to-one coaching program, because I am enrolling for January as well. So make sure you do book an interest call with me, and then we can go through what you're struggling with and how my coaching program can help you. So I will of course link that up here for you and in the description below. And so the next kind of goals that I have, they're not necessarily goals, but I would say they're probably more intentions. So they're a bit less tangible, and these are just kind of main themes that I want to be running through in the year of 2022. One of the biggest things that I did in 2021 was obviously quitting my 9-to-5 job. And the big reason for that is, yes, I wanted to take some time to be able to build my business, but also at the same time, honestly, I was tired. I really just wanted to have a year's break just for me to again focus on myself, my own well-being, and my faith, and also my relationships as well. And so what I realized, the main thing I want to be doing in 2022 is being present and really making sure that I build a solid foundation, because what I realized is that actually when I started focusing on my personal finances, had I not built a solid foundation for myself, I would not have been able to quit my job this year. So because I took the time to understand how I can pay off my debt, creating a great system that works for me, being able to save money, being able to invest my money, understanding my financial goals, because I set that foundation on the current income I had, I was then able to actually become financially secure so that I can quit my job this year. And so that's something that I really want to double down on again, really setting a foundation so that I can basically catapult myself for the next few years. And so that's something that I really try to focus on with the women that I work with in my one-to-one coaching program, because once you've actually built that foundation, you would be surprised at the results you can achieve because of the work that you've already done. So because of that, these are the main things I'm going to be working on in 2022. Number one is focus on me. So that's really doubling down on focusing on my faith, my health, my marriage, and my mindset. And so these are huge things that I really want to focus on in 2022, because I realized that last year I was just hustling all the time, and honestly it just wasn't very good for my mental health. Even when I quit my job, I was still working more hours than my 9-to-5 job, and then I realized the whole reason why I quit my job is for me to almost slow down to speed up. So me doing all of these extra hours is not necessarily helping my well-being. So that's why I really just want to focus on me. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to be the best coach that I could be to my clients and really help them get better results, really making sure that I'm making a difference in their lives so that they can reap those benefits for years to come. The third thing is to create amazing content. So I'm really going to be doubling down and just focusing on YouTube and Instagram. And so even though some people may not be able to work one-to-one with me, I still want to make sure that the content I provide is still really, really valuable so that it can also make a difference in your lives as well. And then the fourth thing is to continue to educate myself. So for example, I obviously joined coaching programs. That's something that I did last year, and it's something I will continue to do this year as well. But also there are still some key areas that I really want to continue to learn on and really build my knowledge on. So for example, one area I might be looking at is actually within the stock market. So what I really want to be doing is actually understanding some of the people's minds. So people that are like the greatest investors, like your Warren Buffetts, for example, really understand, you know, their strategy when it comes to investing in the stock market, why they do what they do, what else to be looking for when it comes to actually understanding the fundamentals of different companies. If I do want to invest in more individual companies, things like that, I really want to just increase my knowledge around, because it's something that I did start really learning about, but I want to just increase my knowledge because I do have a really big interest in that. And then the other thing that I really want to be learning about are things like, you know, cryptocurrencies, NFTs. Particularly when it comes to cryptocurrencies, I think a lot of people invested in it without actually understanding it. So what I really want to do is take the time to really understand the story around cryptocurrencies and start to experiment with that, and then obviously continue to learn about things like creating a business, making sure I have a solid foundation for that as well. So those are pretty much my goals for 2022. Honestly, I'm so thankful to God for helping me see what's possible, and I'm just excited to see how 2022 is gonna go. So if you did like this video, then please do give me a thumbs up if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments, do you have any similar goals for 2022? I do post every Tuesday and Friday, so if you would like to know more, then of course you can subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys on Friday.